In the last video, I showed why airline food tastes the way it does. Today, the cabin itself. Every discomfort you feel up there is a design decision. And once you see the engineering behind it, you stop being annoyed and start being impressed. The cabin is cold. Everyone knows this. Everyone complains about it. And the airline does not care. Not because they are cheap, not because the air conditioning is broken, but because keeping the cabin at around 20 degrees Celsius is a deliberate safety protocol. Here is why. At cruise altitude, the air inside the cabin contains less oxygen than the air on the ground. Not dangerously less, but enough that your body has to work slightly harder to maintain normal function. When the temperature rises, your metabolism speeds up. A faster metabolism consumes more oxygen. In a sealed tube at 35,000 feet, that is a problem. Warm air expands blood vessels, blood pools in the lower body, and the brain gets less of it. The result is dizziness, lightheadedness, and in some cases, fainting. I saw this happen on a flight from Dubai to London a couple of years ago. A woman 3 rows ahead stood up, swayed, and went down. The crew moved fast. Ice packs, oxygen, reclined the seat. After they stabilized her, one of the attendants told me it happens more often than people think, almost always on warm cabins during long flights. A commercial pilot I talked to later confirmed it. He said that the majority of medical incidents on flights where a passenger loses consciousness are not caused by fear or anxiety. They are caused by heat, specifically by the combination of reduced cabin pressure, lower oxygen, and a temperature that lets blood pool in the extremities. The cabin is cold because cold keeps your vascular system tight, your blood circulating to your brain, and your oxygen consumption low. It is not comfort. It is survival math. Now the air itself. Cabin humidity at cruise sits between 10 and 15%. That is lower than the Sahara Desert, and there is almost nothing the airline can do about it. Here is the mechanic. The air inside the cabin comes from the engines, specifically from the compressor stages of the jet engines, where outside air is captured, compressed, heated, and then cooled before being pumped into the fuselage. At 35,000 feet, the outside air holds almost zero moisture. By the time it goes through the compression cycle and enters the cabin, it is bone dry. Adding moisture would mean carrying water, which adds weight. A Boeing 787 actually does add some humidity through a system called a humidifier in the flight deck area, but only for the pilots. The passengers get the desert air. That is why your throat dries out, your skin tightens, your contact lenses feel like sandpaper, and your nasal passages stop filtering properly. It is not a design flaw. It is a consequence of how pressurization works. The airplane trades your comfort for the ability to fly at an altitude where fuel efficiency is highest. Then there is the pressure itself. The cabin is pressurized to the equivalent of about 6,000 to 8,000 feet above sea level. That means even though the plane is at 35,000 feet, your body experiences conditions similar to standing on a moderately high mountain. This is a compromise. Pressurizing to sea level would require a much stronger and heavier fuselage. So the engineers chose a middle ground, high enough to save weight and fuel, low enough that most people don't notice. But your body notices. Gases in your intestines expand by about 25%. That is why you feel bloated. The pressure difference across your eardrums increases, which is why your ears pop or hurt during descent. Some people feel it worse than others, and it has nothing to do with sensitivity. It depends on the shape and flexibility of your eustachian tubes, the narrow passages connecting your middle ear to your throat. If they are inflamed from a cold or allergies, the pressure cannot equalize, and the pain becomes real. Your joints can ache because dissolved gases in your synovial fluid start forming microbubbles, the same mechanism that causes decompression sickness in divers, just at a much milder scale. None of this is dangerous for a healthy person on a normal flight. But it is real, it is measurable, and it is built into the engineering tolerances of every commercial aircraft flying today. And then there is noise. The average cabin noise level during cruise is about 80 decibels. That is roughly the same as standing next to a busy road. For 8 or 10 hours. Your brain compensates by reducing sensitivity to sound, which is why you feel mentally foggy after a long flight. It is not just jet lag or dehydration, it is auditory fatigue. The constant low-frequency roar from the engines and airflow over the fuselage forces your auditory system to work overtime, filtering signal from noise. After a few hours, cognitive performance drops. Reaction time slows. Decision-making gets worse. Pilots deal with this through noise-canceling headsets that are standard equipment. Passengers get a thin foam earplug in business class if they are lucky. There is also the lighting. Most modern aircraft use light-emitting diode systems that can shift color temperature throughout the flight. Blue-white light in the morning to simulate dawn. Warm amber before sleep. Dim red during overnight segments. This is not aesthetic. It is circadian manipulation. The airline is using light wavelength to push your body clock toward the destination time zone before you land. Lufthansa was one of the first to implement this systematically and reported a measurable reduction in passenger-reported jet lag on long-haul routes. The light is not there to look nice. It is there to reprogram your internal clock. Every single one of these things, the cold, the dryness, the pressure, the noise, the light, is a trade-off. The engineers who designed the cabin environment did not optimize for comfort. They optimized for safety, fuel efficiency, and the ability to keep 300 people alive and functional inside a pressurized metal tube moving at 900 kilometers per hour. Comfort is what is left over after those priorities are met. The programmer in me respects that. It is a system with constraints, and every decision has a reason. The temperature is a safety parameter. The humidity is a physics limitation. The pressure is a structural compromise. The noise is aerodynamic. The light is biological. None of it is random. None of it is malice. It is engineering. And once you see it that way, flying stops feeling like something that is done to you and starts feeling like something you can work with. Bring a layer for the cold. Bring eye drops for the dryness. Chew gum for the pressure. Wear noise-canceling headphones for the sound. Skip the overhead light and use the cabin cycle to help your body adjust. None of these are hacks. They are just responses to a system that makes sense once you understand it. Your body at altitude is one thing. But what happens to your blood, your joints, your skin over the course of a long flight, that is a separate conversation. And a flight attendant friend walked me through what she sees happen to passengers on 12-hour routes. That is next.